hello as you are hopping on. Oh, hold on, never mind, didn't share my screen. Let's start over. Okay. There we go. Now for real, here we go. All right, guys, well, welcome. As you're hopping on, just get yourself acquainted. Welcome to the Stress Less, Live More event. The truth about your stress and how to finally put it behind you. Today is day one, and it's brought to you by me, Sarah Longoria. And Hey You Human. So welcome, everybody. I am going to give us a few minutes for people to hop on and get ready. We're super excited to do this with you guys, but while you wait, we have a few little prompts for you. You can go ahead and drop them in the chat, and you're welcome to answer all of them, one of them, none of them, whatever feels good to you. We just want to get to know you guys a little bit. So, where are you joining us from in the world? Let us know if you are new to Hey You Human or if you have joined us before. Let us know the number one thing causing you the most stress right now, or all the things that are causing you stress. You just need to get them off your chest. And one question you may have when it comes to stress. So feel free, drop it in the chat while we just let everybody get on and get ready, and we'll get started in a minute or two. Feel free to dance to our awesome music. And then we'll get going. So as you're hopping on, we just have a few questions for you guys if you want to talk before we get going. All right. Well, are we ready? Ready to dive into all of this fun and learn how to finally get rid of stress in our lives? All right. So first, let me introduce myself, since so many of you are new to our world here. My name is Sarah Longoria. I am the founder of Hey You Human, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. I'm also the creator of the rapid relief technique, which we're also going to talk about on this amazing event, probably not in detail till day 3, but stay with us. I have a degree in biomedical sciences with a minor in psychology, as well as post-bac work in neurophysiology and epidemiology. So I have a very intense, heavy science background, research background, teaching anatomy and physiology and biology background. So all the good, fun science stuff about how our bodies work. But I also have many trainings and certifications in energy medicine and alternative health modalities, which is kind of cool because it really gives you kind of the full gamut when it comes to what's really happening in our bodies from a physical, mental, and emotional perspective. And I've really spent the last decade combining science with energy and emotions, researching, testing, and creating to really figure out what's going on with humanity. And I'm really passionate about teaching people the truth about their human and how to find true happiness. Because if I had to guess, many of you are sitting in here feeling like you might be missing something, feeling like you've tried a lot of things, but the stress still shows up, the anxiety is still there, things aren't working how you want them to work. And it's like, what's going on? And that's what we're going to talk about in these 5 days together. So who is Hey You Human? So Hey You Human is a mental health and human wellness company. So this is a company I developed because I really saw a need for the mental health industry to really be revolutionized, that a lot of the stuff we are doing is outdated. It worked once upon a time, but where we're at as humanity, it really isn't working for us anymore. And we really need to learn some new understandings, some new techniques on how to do this. And that's really where Hey You Human comes into play. My thing is not letting me go to the next one. There we go. We serve corporations, individuals in over 80 countries around the world. So we are a global company. We are all over the world. We have practitioners in different countries. We have clients and corporations all throughout the world. We are the first human development company. So human development is really a field of study. And it's really about helping people have the greatest freedoms and opportunities to live their best lives. And we really never made this into a true field of actually helping people do this. We have the coaching industry, we have the spiritual industry, we have the mental health industry, we have a lot of these other industries, but they're really not cutting it like we think they should be. And so we really are working to develop an entire new industry that's really about going to the core of our human, not so much about the external things, the goals and the accomplishments, but how are we actually feeling inside? And how do we really create true happiness? You know, we hear this, we hear people say all the time, I just want to be happy. Like, I just want to feel good about my life. And so how do we create that? And that's really the human development industry, developing our humans wholly so that we feel good, we live well, and we can create lives that we love. I don't know, it keeps not letting me go to the next one. It's okay, now it's going. Okay, we offer monthly memberships and trainings for our individuals. So we have monthly memberships and an amazing place for you to learn and grow. I will talk about this more as we get through the days. Certification. So we actually teach people all of our methods so that they can then take it into their businesses, into their lives. We also have practitioners who give one-on-one support within our community with us and partner with us. We also do business consultations and executive development. So we work with corporations and different partnerships throughout the world where we help their employees, executives, leadership teams, and whatnot really understand a lot of this and create better environments, not only for themselves, but also within their organizations. And then we do live in-person and virtual events. So this is one of our live virtual events. And then we also host in-person events as well. We are also a human first company, which means we really put our humans first. Okay, so my commitment to you on these 5 days together. we are going to expand your understanding of what is actually behind your stress. So we are taught a lot of things about stress and what it is, and we are going to show you really what it actually is, because a lot of what we've been taught, again, is outdated and quite honestly, just not true. And so we are going to dive into this and really figure out what's really going on. We're going to discuss the missing pieces to understanding this life and removing stress from it. And so really, we're taught a lot of things in this world. We're taught all sorts of stuff. We're taught science and math and English and how to drive cars and how to manage money and all sorts of things. But we really aren't taught a lot of things about life and being human. And when you actually learn these things, it makes life and removing stress from it a whole lot easier. We're going to have a ton of aha moments, so get ready. A lot of what you guys are going to learn in here is stuff people don't teach, is stuff that is very contrary to what mainstream teaches. And it's going to make a lot of sense. And you're going to have a lot of aha moments. So get ready for that. You will learn our full rapid relief technique so that you can start feeling different this week. So this isn't going to be one of those events. And I know you've probably attended them where like we get on here and we tell you everything about me and everything about the company and all these cool things. And you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. But how do I actually do it? And I'm like, oh yes, if you'd like to do it, you actually have to go into this event and buy this and do this. We're not going to do that here. We are actually going to give you the full technique. We're going to teach you how to do it. We're going to teach you all the building pieces you need to understand to really implement it in your life so that you can fully use it. Now, you still may want to go further with us, and those options will be presented later on in the week, but we want to give you the full technique as well. And then we're going to have a lot of fun because I like having fun. I like making things engaging and having a good time. So we're going to have fun as long as my PowerPoint keeps working, which it's going well now. Okay, my requests of you are simple. Ask questions and keep your mind curious. Again, like I said, we're going to be talking about a lot of new concepts here. So keep your mind curious, ask questions if they come up. Keep in mind that if you post a question in our Q&A or you post a question in the chat, Melissa, who's on here with me, may actually read it at the end if it's something really pertaining and we want to address it. But also keep in mind that a lot of your questions may be answered in later days. What often happens is as we go through this, you guys are going to be like, oh my God, mind blown. Oh my God, mind blown. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? And a lot of that I'm actually going to address later. And so feel free to write down your questions and give them to us. But if they're not answered right away, realize that your answers are coming. Cell phones, emails, distractions off. Let's be real, guys. We live in like an uber distracting world. Everything's going off. This is some really, really great stuff we're going to give you that truly will really change your life and the people in your life. So please give yourself this time to pay attention for you. Not because I necessarily want you to. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's nice to present and have people pay attention, but this is for you. So give yourself this moment to really pay attention, put those distractions away, and we're only going to be here for about 30 to 40 minutes each day. Pay attention, get this stuff, and use the chat box to connect and engage. So we are a little community in here. Feel free to, chat with us, engage, say all the things. And keep asking questions. Keep asking questions to yourself. Keep thinking about things. Keep really beginning to open and expand your mind as we go through this. Breakdown of the event. So we are together for 5 days, same place, same time, right here, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, every day. We will run about 30 to 40 minutes, somewhere in there every day. Today probably will be our longest day because I kind of go into all this stuff in the beginning here. let's see, scholarship. We will be giving away a scholarship, a year scholarship to our membership, to one of you beautiful humans who are participating in our event. It is very easy to qualify for the scholarship. You need to complete the homework prompts. Our homework prompts are in the workbook. I'll also tell them at the end of each presentation. The workbook will be emailed out to you after this event. So check your email. If you're not getting emails from us, go to your junk and whitelist us so that you're getting our emails. If you still don't get the workbook, just reach out to us at support@heyyouhuman.com. The workbook or the homework post, what the homework is, will actually be posted in our app. So we have a beautiful Hey You Human app. It's amazing. There's an incredible community on there. There's a bunch of other free resources as well. You want to be on our app. All you have to do is go onto your phone. It's for Android and Apple. I'll even show you what it looks like. It's the little smiley face one right there. Little Hey You Human. Just go to your app store, Google Hey You with a U, human. Download our app. And then in the main feed there is where the homework post will be posted. To qualify for the scholarship, you just need to pop your answer on there. Now, guys, we are in an event about learning to stress less. So do not panic about this. I know people are like, homework, things to do. Oh my God. Okay, these are very easy prompts. If you don't totally understand it, feel free to answer. I'm not totally understanding this, but this is what I think. Maybe, we're just trying to get you guys to really think more and to really get engaged with this event. And so it's really easy to qualify for the scholarship. We will pull it on Thursday. So you only have 3 days of the homework that you have to do so that we can get you. My team will then pull all the names and we'll pull somebody and we'll announce them on Thursday, and they will get a full year membership into our Happy Human membership, which we'll talk about later. But it's a really, really incredible membership that really gives you all the tools and understandings and support that you need to really create your happiest human. So, and then the workbook is really gold, you guys. It has a lot of stuff to really take you deeper. The Hey You Human community, I talked a little bit about this. This is also on our app. So after you do your homework post, go check out the community, you guys. Like, we have a really, really special group of people who are really dedicated to creating happy lives for themselves, really doing this work and really creating incredible lives for themselves. The replays will be available for a limited time until January 23rd. And I know some people are like, what? Why? We do this because life happens. And if we don't give you a deadline, often you ain't never going to do it. You know how that happens, right? We have the best intentions. Oh, I'm going to do that on Tuesday. And that was like Tuesday of January. And now it's like Tuesday of May. And you're like, oh yeah, that's still on my list. So we really want to help keep you accountable because we know how life gets. And so the replays are available for a limited time until January 23rd. So make sure you are getting to those replays. All right, daily breakdown. And then we're getting close to getting started into the good stuff. So today we're going to talk about what is stress and really an overview of everything and really getting acquainted with the true cause of stress, because it's not what you think it is. Tomorrow, we're going to build on day one, and we're going to start breaking down what's really going on in your body and why you have stress and why life isn't really working out for you in your favor. And does anybody feel that way? Like, I know I've often felt this way in my life, where it feels like you just can't get a break in life, but you're looking at other people where you're like, why does it just seem so easy for them? Like, it's like everything they do just works out. And every time they try something, it like goes, but like, why can't I get a break? Why does it seem like everything just keeps like standing in my way, or it gets good and then it's not good again? we're really going to talk about what's really going on here because it's very linked to your stress and what's actually behind it. Day 3, we're going to be diving into the rapid relief technique and getting the stress out for good. We're going to give you the full process. I'm going to explain all of it in detail. We're going to practice it together. And then we're going to talk about on day 4, how we really integrate this into your life. So I'm going to give you a lot of information. And then it's like, okay, that's great. But like, how do I actually make this work in my life? And I feel like that happens a lot of times. You see something and someone says like, oh, well, all you need to do is do this. And you're like, that sounds great, but like, how does that actually apply to real life? And so we're actually going to help you see how we apply this to real life, to parenting, to work, to finances, to relationship, to business. What does this actually look like on a day-to-day basis? We're also going to announce our scholarship winner. And then day 5, we're going to wrap it all up with stress and money, which anybody stressed out about money ever? Anybody? From our work, I have found that this is one of the biggest stressors, and it makes sense, right? We need money to survive in this world. We have chosen to create a world where money is extremely important, and it can often be one of the things we think is causing us the most stress in our lives. And we're going to really dive into that and really understand how to start eliminating that. We're also going to talk about tricks, tips, and frequently asked questions, because although the information and techniques that we're going to talk about here are seemingly simple, they're not always easy when it comes to actually applying them into our life. They kind of get to where you're like, wait, what do I do here? Wait, what if this happens? And so we're going to try to mitigate a lot of what might come up for you guys so that you're really feeling comfortable with all of this. So we got through all the housekeeping. Let's take a breath. I want you to just take a moment, be with yourself, let go of all the things that you had to do to get here today. All the things that may be going on in your head, the monkey mind, and don't worry, we're going to talk about the monkey mind and why it's really hard to turn him off. The monkey that just keeps bringing the thoughts. And let's get ready to go. All right, day 1. Let's do this. Okay, so what we are told about stress. So we're told a lot of things about stress. And if you look up the definition of stress, this is the definition you're going to get. Stress is any type of change that causes physical, emotion, psychological strain. It's your body's response to an event that requires attention or action. So that's what Webster tells us. It's a response to an event that requires attention or action. It's your body's response. And part of that is true. It is your body's response. And tomorrow we're actually going to talk about how your body's actually extremely smart. And if we actually just let our bodies do what our body needed to do, stress wouldn't actually exist in it. Another thing we're told about stress, well, everyone experiences stress, or everyone will experience stress in their life at some point. And that also may be somewhat true, right? Stressful situations occur, traumatic events happen, and our body responds. But what we're talking about here is more that chronic stress, right? That habitual stress that's just with us all the time. And you're like, why can't I make this go away? Why is this just here? And that's not something everybody should have. Something also we're told, stress is unavoidable and actually good for us to some degree. So I hear this a lot, that it's actually good for us. We create stuff out of stress. Stress is a motivator for us to get stuff done. Stress fuels us. And again, that is true. But being fueled from stress and creating from stress is exhausting to our bodies. And stress is known to be one of the biggest causes of death, diseases, and unhappiness in our world. So although it may work, I don't think it's our best plan on how we want to be living our life. We also hear things like you can't eliminate stress. It's part of your life. You can only shift how you respond to it. Or you can eliminate it. What if crazy situations happen in your life and you actually didn't get stressed out? We're told stress is caused from the external. Remember back to our definition, from an outside event that causes a reaction in your body. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say an external event happens that causes a reaction in your body, but that's not actually stress. So let's talk about this. If stress is just a reaction to an outside event, well, then why do we all have such different reactions to things? So, right, that's our main definition. Stress is our body's reaction to an outside event. Well, tell me then why, when I'm having a dinner party at my house, my husband is stressed out to all wazoo, walking around like a crazy man, trying to do all these things, and I'm fine. Now, we can chalk it up. Some people will say, oh, genetics, you're more predisposed to stress, and you're this, and you're this. Now, part of that is true. Part of that is true, but there's something else going on here. And better yet, why do we often have stress and anxiety when nothing stressful is happening at all? Or furthermore, literally nothing's happening. How often have you had stress in your life when you're literally doing nothing? You're just chilling. And your mind's going, and there's stress, and there's things, and or have you ever had that happen where your phone rings and it's literally like somebody calling you and you have an entire stressful reaction in your body? There's nothing stressful actually happening, but all of a sudden you're having a stress response. What's really going on here? And I get it. We could say, okay, well, maybe nothing's happening right now, but I'm thinking about that thing that's going to happen. And I'm thinking about that thing that just happened. And those are all events. And that's what's causing my stress. Maybe, but we think differently over here. Because it sounds more like a you problem. And not so much like actually what's going on in our lives problem. And guys, I get this, how annoying this can be. And my CEO and I talk about this a lot, this radical responsibility. It's a you problem. And we're like, sometimes I don't want it to be a me problem. Right? And we can sit here and say, well, okay, what if I live in Afghanistan and there's a war going on and I have no food and all of these things? Is that really a me problem? My country sucks. Okay, there are traumatic and stressful situations going on, but still what's going on in your body can still be shifted. And I can attain to this because I have had quite a ridiculous year. And a lot of people keep asking me and saying things like, how are you so calm right now? And I'm like, because I know what's going on. I know how to work with my body. And so we're able to actually go through very, very stressful situations, traumatic situations, and actually have a calm demeanor. And I don't mean it in a way where first responders and army people learn how to suppress their emotions, because that's something that happens, right? We learn to suppress our emotions because those come back later. That's where PTSD and all of these things, they come back later. And so we're going to talk about what my definition of stress is. And that is, it is the unprocessed emotions and trauma caused from lived experiences and life memories. So what's actually causing the anxiety, the overwhelm, the stress that you feel in your body, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter if it's calm or stressful, is actually coming from you. And furthermore, not just lived experience and life memories of yours, but lived experience and life memories of your ancestors. So have you ever heard thing like the reptilian brain? Ever heard the story where people are like, well, the reason we stress out when our computer freaks out is because our brain thinks we're being chased by a tiger. And so we go into a full stress response. And so you just tell your brain, calm down, brain, there's no tiger. That's actually true. That's actually true. The reason you are having such a stress response in something that's actually not stressful is because not only do you have unprocessed emotions and trauma from your own lived experiences and life memories, but you have the unprocessed emotions and trauma from the lived experience and life memories of your ancestors that weren't processed. Just like your DNA passes down lovely things like genetic disorders and diseases, it also passes down lovely things like unprocessed emotions and trauma. Thanks, Grandma. Thanks, Grandpa. I know. Not the best thing to hear, but don't worry. So really what I'm trying to say here, guys, is your stress has nothing to do with what's happening in your life or in the world. And actually has everything to do with what's happening inside of you. And again, I get this. I get where someone could say, oh yeah, well, look at you, nice, pretty girl sitting in your nice, pretty house with your nice little business. Like, sure, easy for you to say, like, your life's nice and easy. Have you ever, been in situations like with huge inequality and marginalization in foreign countries where things are happening that are really terrible? And so I get that. Like, I really, really do get that. But this still holds true. This still holds true that how we're actually feeling inside when it comes to events happening around us has very little to do with what's actually happening in the event and what's really happening with inside of us. It's why you can watch two people go through an extremely traumatic event, and one of them is fine and gets through it and makes it out and can move through it, and the other one can't. Some of it's genetic, some of it's how we process things, yes, but you can actually change your genetics. And we talk about that in Hey You Human. But a lot of it is really about what's actually going on inside of you, and if you're being triggered and stuff's being brought up. I know. What? You're saying this is me? No. And like I said, I get that, where you're like, no. I would just like the world to fix its problems, and then everything will feel better for me. Okay, so let's talk about the truth. So we make trauma and stress about an experience when really it's about what's left behind from an experience that wasn't fully processed. Okay, I see how I'm messing up my PowerPoint. I try to move my little screen so I can see the things, and then it does something. But it's back now, so we should be okay. Okay, so we make stress about something outside of us when really it's about what is happening inside of us. So, and I'll break this down tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're really going to go into the body and what's really happening in our body. Right now, I'm just trying to give you kind of the big overview around this. So basically what happens is an event occurs in your life. A stressful, traumatic event occurs in your life, and your body has a full physiological reaction. And your body is actually really smart and knows what to do. It knows what emotions to emote. It knows what physically it needs to do for you to fully process that experience and come back to balance. Your body knows what to do. And the reason your body has this physiological reaction is because our humans actually learn and evolve through emotions. So we can learn things on a cognitive level, right? This is like when you go to school and they teach you math and science and you learn all your little things in your brain. But that's not actually fully how we operate as humans. And this is a big piece right here. What I'm telling you right here, guys, is a big, huge piece we have been missing from humanity that has made being human a heck of a lot harder, because nobody's really taught us this. Nobody's really taught us what to do with this or how to work with this. But we actually do a big chunk of our learning and evolving through emotions. Is anybody else like, uh-oh? But we aren't taught about emotions. We're told just not to feel them. Yep, problem. Warning, problem. And so when a traumatic or stressful event occurs in our lives, we can cognitively understand what happened, but until we actually fully emotionally understand what's happening, our body can't fully process it. And what ends up happening is it just stays stuck in there and causes all sorts of physiological issues, continues to cause those thoughts. You know, have you ever had that? Have you ever had an event happen in your life? Or how about this one? I know this happens a lot. Like you have an old past boyfriend or girlfriend or someone you dated, and they just keep popping up in your head. And you're like, why does that person pop up in my head? Or you had a fight with your sister or a family member, like, I don't know, 4 years ago. And somehow that pops up and you keep replaying it in your head and it starts thoughts and it starts this whole process, right? That's because you literally have that event still living in your body, and your body's basically poking you, saying, hey, you never fully learned this. I'm popping it back up into your head so that you can feel it and fully process it, and we can fully evolve past it. Popping it up. Hey, your body is incredibly smart. We don't listen to our bodies and we don't listen to our emotions. And so what happens when we aren't able to emote? Because what happens? I want you to think back in your life of all the times you had an emotion. Let's, even if you have children, think about, what do we do when kids cry? We usually do one of two things. We either try to make it better. You're okay. It's okay. It's okay. You're okay. Actually, we do three things. It's okay. It's okay. We distract. Oh, here, you want to watch this? Oh, here, have a lollipop. Oh, here, have some strawberries. Or we shame. Stop it. That's enough. We even do that as adults. Think of the last time you had a big emotion. What did somebody try to do? They likely tried to fix it. Well, okay, that's okay. Why don't we do this? Or you try to distract yourself. I'm going to go for a run. I'm just feeling off. I'm just going to go for a run. Feeling stuck. I'm just going to watch TV. I'm going to eat. Got any emotional eaters out there? I used to be an emotional eater, right? Drinking. God, I need a glass of wine. Or we're shamed. We have a big outburst and we yell, what's wrong with you? Why do you keep losing your shit? We cry in a place that's not appropriate to cry. Stop crying. So we're not able to emote to the level that we need to as humans, ever. You weren't as a child, you weren't as a teenager, you weren't as a young adult, you weren't as a full-blown adult, and you still aren't now. Which means our evolution and growth as humans have been stunted. And I don't know if you've looked around at humanity lately, guys, but we got some work to do. And this is one of the biggest reasons why, as humans, we just keep hitting a wall, is because we're not evolving past all of these things, because we're not emoting. And we need to start emoting. So your thoughts are not running the show. Your emotions are. We're really taught that our thoughts are running the show. We're taught that you think a thought, if you just change your thought, your life will change. If I'm feeling bad about something, I just need to shift my perspective on it. And that is not how it works. Your trauma and your emotions are running this show, not your thoughts. They actually spur, with your little neuropeptides, which we'll get into tomorrow, the science of this, are spurring those thoughts because they're trying to say, hey, you need to address this. And we're not addressing it. And those thoughts are going wild. And we're trying to change the thoughts, but it only lasts for so long. How often have you tried to change your thoughts, but it lasts for a period of time? How often have you tried to change your habits or start something new, and you're right back where you started a few months later, a year later, a couple days later? Because this is only one piece. We got to get into the bigger picture, which is our emotions, our nervous system, and our DNA. Because our mind projects through our memories, our experiences, and our traumas. And this is a good little example of this, a little experiment. And this really talks about how quickly the brain can be programmed to see things differently. Guys, this isn't even going into the whole fact around your emotions and trauma, which is a bigger piece to this. So when I was in college, and just to let you guys know, we probably will run a little bit longer today just because I had to do all the housekeeping in the beginning. But when I was in college, I was a psychology minor, and they would pay us to do these experiments. And one of the experiments we got paid to do was called yellow and red. And what they do, and I can never remember which was yellow and which was red, but it doesn't matter. You'll get the gist of it. But anyways, they basically put you in front of a computer and they just bombard you with yellow. They're like, yellow is the best thing. Yellow makes you more money. Yellow, you want yellow. Everything yellow, you love yellow. And I don't remember how long we were in there for, but maybe like 45 minutes, you just sit there and they're like, yellow, yellow, yellow. And you're just shown yellow. You're brainwashed basically on yellow. And then you're given this form and it says, write down as many yellow things as you can. And you go, oh, no, sorry. They give you the thing right before you walk in and it says, write down as many red things as you can. And you go into the room and you're like, wait, you said yellow. I was supposed to be writing down yellow. And they're like, no, write down all the red things. And so now all of a sudden you're like, okay. And you get in there and you're like, oh wait, no, I'm doing this wrong, guys. I haven't told this story wrong. Never mind. You get into the room, you write down all the yellow things. Yellow, we're writing down all the yellow. And then you get out and they say, how many red things were there in the room? And you're like, red? They're red. Let me think. And so you go back after you've just been brainwashed with yellow. You've had to write down all the yellow things in the room. And then they ask you red. And so you're like, red. You're like, I think there was a red lamp. And remember, you're getting paid for the yellow things. So you were really focused on yellow. You're like, maybe there was a red lamp. Maybe there was a red rug. And you're like, okay. And then they take you back into this room, you guys. And like the majority of the room is actually red. There's a ton of red in this room. But you didn't see 60% of the red, maybe even more, because you had been told yellow. This is how our brain works. Our brain is very programmable. It is told what to see, but it's also told what to see by these beautiful things called neuropeptides, which we're going to dive into more tomorrow, which are actually run by our emotions and our trauma. So when you don't fully resolve an emotion that occurs, you actually see life through these freaking emotions. You see it through. And it becomes all about you and not about you all at the same time. So this is where humaning gets super confusing. Have you ever felt like you're just like confused in the relationships you have with people? Have you ever felt confused where you look at the world and you're like, how could somebody possibly believe that? Like, it just boggles your mind. You're like, this person obviously thinks this is true and real. Like, how could somebody possibly believe this? Like, I don't get it. It's because it's actually all about you and not about you all at once. And this is because, you guys, we all literally see the world through our trauma, our emotions, and our programming. So we're all literally seeing different worlds. Just like when I walked into that room and I was so focused on yellow, I could only see yellow. And then when I walked back in, I was like, oh shit, like the majority of this room is actually red. But I could not see that because I had programmed myself to see yellow. This gets even more crazy when we add the trauma and emotions in. So I want to give you an example with spouses, with your spouse. So, or anybody, this could really work with anybody, but I know many of you, this will be relatable. Let's say you did a whole bunch of stuff all day. Maybe you went to work, you're home, maybe you have kids. you're here at your house or your apartment or wherever you live, and you're tired, you've done so much this week, and your spouse walks into the door, and the first thing they say to you is, oh my God, it's a mess in here. And you're all, oh no, you didn't. Apparently this human wants to die today, right? Like everything has just set off in you. You were like, I cannot believe that you're going to walk in here, and the first thing you say is that this is a mess. Like, are you kidding me right now? So what happens? Often you say that. Are you kidding me right now? That's the first thing you're going to say to me, is this house is a mess. And then they say back, why are you getting so upset? I wasn't saying anything mean about you. I was just saying that the house was a mess. And you're like, yeah, I get it. Like, I just don't do anything around here, do I? I obviously can't even keep a house clean, can I? Do you have any idea what I've done all day? Right? All of a sudden, you guys, we're making up all of these stories. And now the other person's mad because they think you're making a mountain out of a mountain out of a molehill. You feel like they don't see you. You feel like they never get you. You feel like they don't understand you. You feel like they're so unsympathetic and mean, and they're looking at you like you're literally crazy. So what's actually happening here? Because this is a pure situation of it's all about you and not about you all at the same time. So you have a bunch of unprocessed emotions in your body around not feeling good enough, around not feeling heard, seen, not feeling appreciated, not feeling respected. Probably comes from way back when with your parents, when you needed something from them and they didn't give it to you, and you felt like, wow, nobody pays attention to me. And you wanted to cry about it, yell about it, scream about it, so that your little human could fully process it and understand what happened, but you weren't allowed to. You were told to shut it down and stop. And so you never fully got to process it or understand it. And so now you see the world in a space of feeling like you're just not enough. You'll never be good enough. People don't get you. People don't understand you. People are mean. People are all these things. It's become all about you. Every situation is seen through your personal crapola inside. When that instance may have been not about you at all. That may have just been a tired human coming in, making an observation that, damn, our house is a mess. And then you're all at him or her. And you're like, and they're like, what? I was just like thinking out loud, man, it's happening. And now they have crap too. So now they get defensive because they're all, God, everybody always attacks me. Everybody always this, everybody always this. And now we're in this thing. We're in this icky, yucky thing that's just fueling our stress. You will always see the world through your trauma and your emotions, because the only way to change an experience in a pattern so that you can see something different and respond and feel different is to process it. That's the only way. You can change all your thoughts. You can change your mindset. You can do all of that till the end of time, y'all. But at the end of the day, it really won't change. And I know many of you have probably experienced this, where you may have done the therapy and you may have done the mindset work and you may do the behavioral work, and it kind of works in the outside world, but it doesn't necessarily feel different. And I've worked with a lot of people like this, where they're like, you know, I have chronic depression and sometimes it's so hard for me to get out of it. I have chronic stress and So I've been given these coping skills to do. And they work to like get me out of bed and to get me to brush my teeth and to get to work. But at the end of the day, I don't feel different. Like it's still in there, but I'm just doing the things. We want to get you to a place where it actually feels different, where when somebody says something like that to you, you're like, yeah, damn, house is a mess. And it means nothing about you. It's not fueling your stress and your anxiety, which is what the world's doing now for all of us. Processing the trauma is the only way. Now, I want to give you a few more examples so that you can really understand this. One of my favorite ones is with kids. If you have kids, we often very much get so triggered by our kids, right? How often do your kids say something and you're like all over the place? So your kid's crying or your kid's this, and you have all these emotions coming up and you want them to stop crying and you want them to do this. And when they don't listen to you, you're making it all about you. You don't respect me. People don't listen to me. When really your kids are just having a kid moment. They're just having a very human moment of needing to understand and experience their emotions so that they can learn and evolve too. And we make it mean all sorts of stuff about us. And it causes such discord in our relationship with our children. We often do this even as adults with our parents, right? How many of you have lots of discord with family, spouses, siblings, friends? And when we actually, and this is, you can always often tell when it's emotional, because how often have you had one of those moments where you're telling someone the story about how annoyed you are at someone and they're like, I don't really understand why you're so mad about this. And how mad does that make you, right? When someone's like, I don't understand why you're so upset about this. But it's because this person isn't necessarily holding the trauma, the experiences and the emotions that you are. And one of my favorite ones, I'm going to give one more good example. That's the one with my husband, so you guys can really see this. But, you know, I had a moment years ago where I walked in and my husband was watching TV and I said something along the lines of like, I don't know. It was something actually about jury duty because I had just gotten like the jury duty slip. And I say this to him and he's like, oh my God, would you stop talking about that? Like, I'm trying to watch this. And I experienced it as him being very curt and very mean and very like terrible. Now, me a few years before that would have been like, don't talk to me like that. I would have gotten all boundaried up, right? Don't talk to me like that. I do not deserve to be spoken to like that. You can speak to me like that, but I'm not going to be around for very long. So you better figure it out, mister. But the fact that I had so much emotions, and this is the key to this, and we're going to dive into this deeper tomorrow, you guys, because I know a lot of what I'm giving you, I'm kind of like fire hosing you right now. Like you're like taking all of this in, and I know that it's a lot, but we're going to break it down throughout the days. But what we want to do in those situations is set the boundary, stand our ground, know that somebody can't talk to us. But when there's emotions involved, we know there's something deeper. Because now I'm at a point where someone can be a complete jerk to me. And I'm just like, wow, they were a complete jerk. Interesting. And I can speak not through emotion. And when you speak not through emotion, you're heard. When you speak through emotion, you just trigger the other person's defenses and you're in this whole thing, which if you look at our world right now, we're basically a bunch of little kids who didn't process their emotions going at each other. Politically, at work, all over the place, because we're walking around with all of this. And so I took a time out because I knew I was annoyed and I went and processed these emotions. And we're going to talk about how we do this on day 3. And as I processed this out, what came to the core of this, guys, was stop dismissing me. Stop dismissing me. And I had all these memories of just being a little kid and asking, hey, can we go do this? Hey, stop, get out of here. Go on. I'm working. Get out of here. Go away. And that hurting my little heart and my little self, never being able to process that or understand why that was happening to me. Because when we stay in an emotional state, guys, we literally cannot see the other person's perspective. We literally cannot see the logic behind it. We may be able to logically click it in our brain, but we aren't able to fully understand it and see their perspective. And so we stay in this limbo state. So after I processed this, then I was able to go out there and say, hey, man, I get that you were watching TV, but next time, can you talk a little nicer? And he was like, yeah, sorry. That was like real harsh. Like, my bad. Because I was coming at him not emotional. Had I come at him initially and been all, don't talk to this, he would have been like, why, don't get all up in my face about stuff, right? Because it would have been a thing. So we love to believe it's not me, it's you, right? It's not me, it's you. And I hear this all the time from people. Like I just had a moment with my husband a couple of weeks ago where he was all in a tizzy and I said, hey, like chill out. You're really go process this out. You're really getting in a tizzy over this. And he goes, well, if the kids would just listen to me, I wouldn't get this mad. Nah, no. When we have big emotional reactions, we aren't meant, guys, to go through the world with big ass emotions, vomiting them out on people. Our emotions are supposed to be a personal experience for us to understand what's going on. So whenever there's an emotion, we actually should take a time out, go fully process it so that we can actually see the situation clearly. It's actually not you. That's me. It's like my favorite Taylor Swift song, I'm the problem, it's me. Yeah. So what we're currently doing and why it's not working. Most of the things we're using to reduce stress in our life actually aren't reducing anything. They're techniques used to either suppress stress or to momentarily calm ourselves through distraction or dissociation. So we're not actually addressing our stress. We're just pushing it deeper inside of us. We're pushing those emotions deeper inside of us, which is just making everything worse because then they come out when we don't want them to. That's basically what happens when you look at like the military and you see how they're able to handle such stressful situations, but now you see so many of them with PTSD. That's like, you can't hold it together anymore. It's coming out. It's coming out whether you want it to or not. Mindset is a privilege. Ever wonder why there are those out there that can just change their mindset, but you can't? And a lot of us can't because it's a privilege. Depending on how much emotional crap you have, trauma you have, ancestral crap you have, it can make it a whole lot harder to just change that mindset. And this is where privilege really comes into play. This is where people don't like hearing about white male privilege and all of this. But often those of us who have been marginalized and oppressed for years and years and years and decades and decades and decades and centuries and centuries and centuries, when we look at these demographics and say, what the hell's your problem? Why can't you just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, do a little mindset work and get going? Mindset's a freaking privilege, y'all. It's a freaking privilege. And if you are not privileged to have processing all that emotional baggage that you have inside of you, mindset ain't going to work. Mindset's a great tool, but it's like the last tool to use. It's like putting a roof on the house before you've done the foundation and the walls. Like you can't put a roof on a house that doesn't exist. Practices like talk therapy, EMDR, and deep breathing are all centered around coping with stress and not actually getting to the core emotion that is causing the stress. And when I say deep breathing, I mean like take a breath. I don't mean like things like breath work, because we actually use somatic breath work in our practice, and that's a whole different type of breathing. Whole different type. I'm talking like take a breath, calm yourself down. All of these things have their place, but they do not actually work with getting your stress out. It's why you may be in therapy for 10 freaking years, talking about it, but never really feeling better. EMDR often disassociates. So you actually may feel different in your life, but something's still going on in here. And we're going to dive in deeper tomorrow and really talk about therapy and EMDR and all of this stuff and what's really happening in your body. The other thing is talking about emotions is not feeling them. Most of us believe we are feeling our emotions when we actually aren't. Hence the cycle of stress we continue to find ourselves in. And I'm going to go into this much more tomorrow, because often I've worked with clients and I'm like, are you feeling your emotions? And they're like, well, yeah. And then when I ask them what feeling looks like to them, I'm like, oh no, my friend, that is not feeling emotions, because we are so inept, guys. We are so behind in understanding emotions in our world that most often we think we're feeling our emotions and we're actually not. But don't worry, because we're experts in helping people eliminate stress, anxiety, and overwhelm from their life. And we know how to help you find your happy. And that's what we're going to do, guys. So I know I kind of fire hosed you with a whole lot of information and fun. I know it's a lot. Take it in. Feel free to watch this video again. Let it sink with you. And then we're going to build more on it tomorrow. But I just want you to take a minute and I want you to really imagine a world where you weren't triggered. And we're going to talk about this more. Stress didn't exist. You knew how to deal with it when it came up and not repeat our patterns. Like, think about that. What if you could actually get rid of the patterns you don't want anymore? All of our monkey minds were quiet and we could all work on creating a better world. So how many ideas, how many dreams, how many amazing things never make it into this world because our minds are too consumed with all this crap? You could live as yourself without feeling judged. Do you know how much of your life is run by your unprocessed emotions and traumas, trying to get people to like you, see you, respect you, and you're not even living as you? You didn't feel the need to judge everyone else. What if you didn't have all this time to judge everybody else? Instead, you were out creating an incredibly amazing life. People lived in harmony and knew how to work through conflicts with ease. I mean, good God, just look at the United States political realm right now. Think of how our world's just stuck right now because we don't know how to deal with this. We had solutions and energy to shift all of the world's issues. So, guys, we're just getting started. This is day 1. And like I said, I gave you a lot of information. Let it all sink in. We're going to build on it the next couple days. We're going to break it down. I'm going to really make sure you understand this. So, what are your next steps? Go download that Hey You Human app. Go look in your email for the workbook. Go get that homework prompt in our community. Go do the homework prompt. This for tonight is, what's your biggest cause of stress and what might be some of the emotions behind it? Again, guys, don't stress yourself out about this. If you're like, I don't know any of the emotions behind this, say that. Just say, this is what's causing me out. I have no idea the emotions behind it. I hope to learn throughout these next couple days. We don't want to cause you more stress. So take it easy. Come introduce yourself into our community. Post any questions you might have for me, for the team. They'll grab them. They'll answer them in there. Keep the conversation going. And I will see you beautiful humans tomorrow, where we're going to really dive into what's happening in the body. So we talked a lot about how this is going on. Now we're going to break it down so we can start getting it out of our body. So thank you, all of you beautiful humans. Oh,
I do want to address a couple questions that came in. There were a ton of questions just around stress and finances. And I know we're going to talk about that on day 5, but Christina specifically asked, are stress and anxiety the same thing?
Are stress and anxiety the same thing? You know, I think kind of. I think that anxiety is often more like the chronic version of stress. You know, stress tends to be what we think of more of, it kind of pops up here and there, where anxiety tends to be like, you just like have this anxiety in your body. So they're similar, but they're from the same family. I kind of put stress, anxiety, and overwhelm kind of all in like one big bubble in a way, because they're all caused by the same thing. I'll tell you that. Stress and anxiety are both caused by those unprocessed emotions.
That was it. That was everyone else had questions around finance, stress around finance. How do I deal with my finances? All of the things. And then family was also another one, which I know we're going to talk about in later days, but I wanted to bring specific acknowledgement to that question.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we'll get into everything. Like I said, we're going to build. I know that I throw all of this out. And so now you guys are like, oh my God, so how do I do it with this? And how do I do it with this? We're going to get there. It just takes, I want to give you guys time and space to digest this in little chunks, so it's not too much.
Nicole just asked, how impactful is this compared to subconscious reprogramming? Nicole, that is on the docket for tomorrow.
Yep. We will talk about that. It is much more impactful than subconscious reprogramming. If you're referring to like hypnosis and things like that, it is something that pairs extremely well if you're already doing that work, because this work is the deeper layer. All right. Well, that's all we have for you, beautiful humans. We'll see you back here, same place, same time tomorrow. All right. Bye. You can end the webinar, right, Melissa? No? Okay. Let's see. I guess I'll go end it.